Someone is lying. Someone is terrified of the truth. And by the time one explosive dinner party is over, a killer will be exposed, relationships could be destroyed, and Weatherfield may never recover from the fallout. But here's the question nobody can answer. Have Sarah Platt and Gary Windass been hiding a secret affair? Or have they been hiding something far more dangerous? Because for weeks, their behavior has made absolutely no sense. The whispers. The secret meetings. The nervous glances whenever Theo Silverton's name is mentioned. The desperate attempts to avoid certain conversations. Everyone has noticed it. Maria has noticed it. Kit has noticed it. Todd has noticed it. And now the suspicion surrounding Sarah and Gary is reaching breaking point. But that's only the beginning. Because while half of Weatherfield believes they're sneaking around behind their partners' backs, another theory is emerging. A far darker theory. What if the secret has nothing to do with romance? What if it has everything to do with murder? Ever since Theo Silverton's body was discovered on the night of Lisa and Carla's wedding, one mystery has haunted the street. Who killed him? The abusive builder left behind a trail of devastation. He manipulated people, controlled people, tore lives apart. And when he was found dead, there was certainly no shortage of suspects. Todd had suffered months of emotional abuse. Danielle had every reason to hate him. Summer's life had been turned upside down. George wanted to protect those he loved. Christina had her own grievances. And then there was Gary. A man with a dangerous history. A man capable of violence. A man who openly turned against Theo after learning the truth about him. Which is why one chilling image refuses to leave viewers' minds. Gary standing above Theo's body. A mallet in his hand. Looking down. Frozen. Guilty. Or perhaps simply shocked. Because the more clues emerge, the less obvious this mystery becomes. And that is exactly what makes it so dangerous. Meanwhile, another storm is brewing. Maria Connor has reached her limit. At first she tried to ignore the warning signs. She told herself she was imagining things. She convinced herself Gary's growing closeness to Sarah was innocent. But every private conversation made the doubts worse. Every secret glance fueled her fears. Every time Gary jumped to Sarah's defense, another crack appeared in their marriage. Soon Maria could no longer ignore what seemed obvious. In her eyes, her husband was betraying her. And Sarah was right at the center of it. But one detail changes everything. While Maria believes she's investigating an affair, Kit Green is chasing a completely different truth. Kit doesn't think Gary and Sarah are hiding a romance. He thinks they're hiding evidence. Evidence connected to Theo's death. Evidence that could expose a killer. And suddenly, two people with completely different motives find themselves on the same side. Maria wants answers. Kit wants confessions. Neither of them is prepared for what they're about to uncover. Because what starts as an awkward dinner invitation quickly transforms into something much more sinister. A confrontation. A pressure cooker ready to explode. The guest list alone is enough to make viewers nervous. Sarah, Kit, Gary, Maria, Todd, Summer. People carrying grief. People carrying secrets. People carrying suspicion. And perhaps one of them carrying the truth about Theo's final moments. Before the evening even begins, tensions are already sky high. Kit notices Sarah canceling plans. He sees her behavior changing. He catches her whispering with Gary. And every instinct tells him something is wrong. The more he watches them, the more determined he becomes. Whatever they're hiding, tonight will expose it. But the emotional stakes are even higher than anyone realizes. Because Kit isn't simply investigating Sarah. He's building a future with her. Or at least he thought he was. Hidden away is a ring box. A symbol of hope. A symbol of commitment. A symbol of everything Kit wants. Yet as suspicion grows, that dream begins to crumble. What if the woman he loves has been lying to him? What if every smile concealed a devastating secret? And what if the truth destroys everything? Then things become even more complicated. Because Todd Grimshaw is fighting his own emotional battle. Theo's death may have ended the abuse. But it hasn't ended the trauma. The fear. The guilt. The unanswered questions. Deep down, Todd knows pieces of the story are still missing. Something happened that night. Something nobody is talking about. And the more he observes Sarah and Gary, the more convinced he becomes that they know exactly what it is. But what if they're not protecting themselves? What if they're protecting someone else? That possibility changes everything. Suddenly viewers begin asking a terrifying question. What if Sarah and Gary genuinely believe somebody they care about killed Theo? And what if they've spent weeks desperately covering up evidence because of that belief? The theory spreads like wildfire. Perhaps Todd killed Theo. Perhaps Sarah and Gary think he did. Perhaps they altered the scene. Perhaps they removed evidence. Perhaps they unknowingly buried the truth. Or perhaps they're protecting the wrong person entirely. And that's where the real mystery begins. Because every answer seems to create 3 new questions. What really happened after Theo fell? Was he already dead? Was he still alive? Who found him first? Who panicked? Who lied? And most importantly, who benefits from everyone focusing on Gary? As the dinner party gets underway, old wounds reopen almost immediately. Maria can't hide her anger. Kit can't hide his suspicion. Todd can't hide his desperation for answers. Every conversation feels loaded. Every smile feels fake. Every silence feels dangerous. Then comes the moment that changes everything. A toast. An innocent-looking toast. The kind of moment that usually passes unnoticed. Except this one doesn't. Because Maria finally snaps. Weeks of suspicion. Weeks of jealousy. Weeks of fear. All erupt at once. And in front of everyone she unleashes the accusation she's been carrying for so long. Gary and Sarah are having an affair. The room freezes. Shock floods every face. Nobody knows what to say. Nobody knows where to look. Because regardless of whether the accusation is true, one thing becomes instantly clear. Secrets are about to spill. And once they do, there will be no putting them back. What happens next leaves everyone stunned. As accusations fly across the table, the past begins catching up with every person in the room. The pressure becomes unbearable. The lies become impossible to maintain. And suddenly the story starts shifting. Not toward an affair. Toward murder. Toward the night Theo died. Toward the terrifying possibility that several people have misunderstood what really happened. Flashbacks begin filling in missing pieces. Fragments of memory. Pieces of conversations. Moments nobody understood at the time. And with each revelation the picture becomes more disturbing. Because viewers start realizing that Sarah and Gary may have spent weeks trapped inside a nightmare of assumptions. Imagine believing someone you care about is a killer. Imagine thinking you're protecting them. Imagine risking your own future for them. Only to discover you've been wrong all along. That possibility hangs over everything. And now the emotional fallout threatens to destroy multiple relationships at once. Maria no longer knows whether she can trust Gary. Kit no longer knows whether he can trust Sarah. Todd no longer knows who to believe. The foundations beneath them are collapsing. Yet the biggest revelation is still being withheld. Because somebody knows exactly what happened to Theo. Somebody has been carrying that truth all this time. And as the dinner party spirals into chaos, the atmosphere becomes almost unbearable. Broken trust. Shattered friendships. Explosive confrontations. Then comes the image teased in flash-forwards. The aftermath. Broken glass. An overturned chair. Blood splattered across the tablecloth. The scene looks less like a dinner party and more like a crime scene. But whose blood is it? How did things escalate so badly? And what revelation pushed everyone over the edge? The answers remain frustratingly out of reach. Which is exactly why fans can't stop theorizing. Some remain convinced Todd is responsible. Others believe Gary accidentally caused Theo's death. Some think Theo staged events before dying. Others suspect a completely different killer has slipped beneath everyone's radar. And perhaps the most chilling possibility of all. The real killer may have been hiding in plain sight from the very beginning. Watching. Waiting. Allowing suspicion to fall on everyone else. Allowing friendships to crumble. Allowing relationships to collapse. Knowing the truth remained hidden. For now. But if one thing is becoming clear, it's this. The affair theory may be the biggest misunderstanding of all. Because whatever Sarah and Gary are hiding, it appears connected to something far darker than romance. Something rooted in fear. Something rooted in guilt. Something rooted in the horrifying events of the night Theo Silverton died. And when the final flashback finally reveals what truly happened, the consequences won't stop with exposing a killer. Marriages could collapse. Relationships could end. Lives could be changed forever. Because somewhere among the accusations, the secrets and the lies, one devastating truth is waiting to emerge. And when it does, Weatherfield may discover that the person everyone suspected was never the real danger at all. The real danger may be the secret nobody saw coming. And if that secret finally comes to light, the fallout could be far more explosive than anyone imagined.